corporate pilot for the better part of 40 years, an aviation manager for the majority of the, for the first half, I guess, of that. And then about 20 years ago, I started my business. While I spent 10 years sort of overlapped flying and building a business doing online training for business aviation professionals specifically. It was an area that had never been addressed. 20 years ago, the idea of online training for non-type specific kind of work was novel. Nobody had ever done it, at least not comprehensively. That's what IBAC does. It is the council of all those associations that then takes the message to the ICAO, various ICAO bodies, council and the assembly and so on, to ensure that the needs of business aviation are not ignored or prejudiced against, to try to promote the idea that business aviation is a significant economic generator. And so that's what IBAC, the International Business Aviation Council, does, based in Montreal, but with people globally. IS-BAO has a completely separate group. It's not a commercial entity. It's not a governmental entity. And the goal, I think, with IS-BAO is to understand that people are on a continuous improvement track. It's a way to look from stem to stern of your operation, starting in a progressive manner, where that's why there's sort of stage 1, 2, 3. Do you have the stuff in order? Are you using it, and is it effective? That's almost the very simplistic way of looking at stages 1, 2, and 3. It's far too simplistic, and so there's a way of saying, okay, you've put in place, every element we would expect. Have you a method of recognizing all the regulations that apply to you? And inevitably, because regulation only grows, I've never seen it actually decrease, there will be non-compliance. I'd be very surprised if somebody could sail through a very, very thorough audit, not that anybody has time to do that level of audit, that they could sail through without a single thing being found. I think this is shooting off on a tangent, but I think this is probably one of the richest areas for development for everyone in the industry now. Regulators too, and operators very definitely, is the ability to do proper root cause analysis. Because all of this falls down to, did you find the real cause? If you didn't find the real cause, you can enter it in your SMS 20 times and still have the thing happening and be wondering what's going wrong. That is probably the weakest area that I've observed. So as an operator, I had to learn what is this root cause analysis? We looked at bow tie, we looked at, all these very complex systems, and after a while, you just shake your head and think there's got to be another way. And eventually you figure out how to do this, do it effectively, ask the right questions, make the right decisions. But when I was actually operating my company on a regular day-to-day basis, and then I was the sort of the more technical involved guy, I'd look at operators, I'd read their entire manual, I'd go into their operation, look at it. I wasn't doing it as an audit, but after you're around long enough, as you know, it doesn't take much to kind of look over in a corner and go, either I shouldn't look there or we're going to have a long talk. And you see things that if they had asked the right questions, if they'd done the root cause analysis, they would not see more than one. So a KPI that I've often recommended to people is using repetitive events with the same, how many events with the same root cause have occurred, and shoot for a reducing number, because to me, that's the number one that will fix all that stuff.
From what I understood, you also lost a friend in aviation, and that had an impact on going forward with this.
Yeah. Well, not just one. There were 20 in 20 years, which is not normal. No. It may be true in other parts of the world. I can only really speak to the Canadian charter market. This was a guy I was getting to know. We weren't exactly best friends, but we'd go out for a hamburger and a milkshake after a flight or whatever and discuss how great we were, So that was the first one where I thought, okay, well, this guy's just like me. People would kind of confuse us because we looked the same. You realize, okay, I could do this same thing. I could make that same mistake. And I think because I was studying what's now called human factors and sort of experimental work, I realized there are many variables that can play into one of these things. And I thought, I didn't have for a moment a belief that this couldn't happen to me. It wasn't that I was afraid. I just thought, okay, time to be careful. I think try everything, especially early on, but excel. Do everything you can to excel at that and to be truly professional. Study, pay attention to the things that you probably don't know as well as you should. Really dig into those.